Hello everyone! This is Running on Empty Food Review. Well, hello ladies, gentlemen, and everyone watching. Welcome one and all to this newest edition of the Running on Empty Food Review series. I'm your host, The Report of the Week. Thanks for checking in. So Wendy's, they are finally back at it with a new release. They're one of those establishments that periodically puts some items out here and there. They're not one of the most frequent releasers of items as far as the fast food realm is considered, but they do have the occasional release, and this is their latest one. I will admit, when I saw this one, and I say this without any sort of exaggeration or sarcasm, and then I looked and other people were saying the exact same thing, so I realized at this point, for once, it just wasn't me. I saw the picture of this, I saw the ad, and obviously when you see the advertisement for a fast food item, I think we all understand this, you have the entire expectations versus reality dilemma, where it's like they'll make the item look, obviously, as appealing as possible, and then what do you get in reality, right? You get this burger that looks like someone just sat on it or something. And that's just the way it goes. I think we come to expect it. But when I saw the ad for their new Loaded Nacho Cheeseburger, I thought, wow, I mean, it looks how it looks. What can I say? Where they made this thing look, when I saw it anyway, I thought to myself, this looks like that Krabby Patty that was in the SpongeBob episode where they tried to kill the health inspector. And, I mean, I swear, it looked like that. I thought to myself, this looks like the nasty patty from SpongeBob. And, sure enough, I got it. I took a look. I thought, yeah, it actually does. This is what it actually looks like. And, then I looked online, and that's when I realized, yeah, other people are saying that too, so it's not like I just hit my head and am thinking this is actually what it looks like. Now, just because it may look like something that's been sitting in a dumpster for a week or two doesn't mean that that's obviously how it tastes. As a matter of fact, some of the feedback I've seen about this item online is actually generally positive. So, you can't judge a book by its cover, but in the end, I got it, I'll try it out, and if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad, and that's really all that there is to it. So, appearance aside, here's the important thing. What is actually on it, and then we'll see how it looks, and then, of course, what it tastes like. So, it's available for $8 just as the sandwich itself, the Loaded Nacho Cheeseburger, again from Wendy's. And obviously it has this sort of southwestern flair to it. That's how they describe it as being. It comes with a 1/4 pound of beef. Now, granted, you can get it as the single, you could get it as a double or a triple. I got it as the single, and again, each single comes with a 1/4 pound of their beef. American cheese. It has corn tortilla strips on it. A spicy Chipotle sauce for, again, a little bit of heat right there. It has poblano queso, lettuce, tomato, and it comes on a jalapeno cheddar bun. So again, the whole point of this is to be cheesy, supposed to still be their standard burger, but again, with that extra cheesiness, a little bit of southwestern flair, and again, a spicy kick, likewise. For the price of $8, just for the burger itself, so no sort of meal deal, just a sandwich, this is the price that you're getting. So, it is what it is at this point. Yeah, do I like the price? No, I don't, not at all. But it's what you come to expect at this point in time. So looking at it around, just at the wrapping, very, very standard. Looks just like how you'd expect a regular burger of theirs to look. But unraveling it is when you really notice it. I did take a peek at this earlier just to make sure I got the right thing after that run-in with Burger King the other week. So thankfully the order was correct this time around. So this is what it looks like, and I'm going to adjust to the light just like that so that it's not overexposed or anything. But there you have it. So You can see right there the bun, and it has, I guess, a little bit of everything as described. You can definitely see the sauce, good helping of that. Tomato, the lettuce, some of those, the strips right there, the corn tortilla strips. Taking a look under the bottom bun, nothing really there, just a beef patty. And then debunning it, again, leafy lettuce, and the tomato. I think it has all the ingredients. It looks like it does anyway. And now I'll get the light on once again. But yeah, as far as, you know, the aesthetics are concerned, and granted, that's only part of the story, not the most aesthetically pleasing burger, at least in my opinion. Far from it, quite frankly. I mean, it might not look all that bad, but it certainly conjures up amusing imagery, in my case anyway. But nonetheless, see what it tastes like. I could definitely smell the queso. That's probably the most prominent note right now that I could actually smell. So we'll see what it tastes like. Again, $8 in price. So let's give it a shot, see if it's any good or not. The Loaded Nacho Cheeseburger from Wendy's. It's going in. So I was thinking the other day, just imagine if right out of the blue, there's like this giant military parade for all the fast food mascots. And they're all out there, they're marching down the street wearing like this armor, and they've got their heads held high. Wouldn't that be a sight to see? I think it would be anyway. I know a lot of people want to see the eating segments, so I left this one in, but sometimes I think they're a waste of time, to be honest, you know, because it's just me sitting here just nibbling away at it for 5 minutes, not saying or really doing anything. Just drags out the video, but I know people like them. I'll take one more bite, and then that'll be that. So I don't know how well the sound was. I don't know what, you know, can necessarily be discerned. Sometimes I know this can be, though, where maybe you were able to hear some of that crunchy, some of that crunch as I was eating this. Now, thankfully, this time around, it wasn't my molars shattering, so that's the good news, at least. Or maybe it was, and I'm just powering through it, and I'm just pretending that wasn't the case, but I'm pretty sure it's not that this time around, at least, thankfully. When it comes down, though, to these sorts of items, all the ingredients, they have their strengths and their weaknesses, and there are some that are more discernible and more prominent than others. And texturally, the crunch that I noticed from those corn tortilla strips was one of the most noticeable characteristics of this. And maybe you were able to notice it too. Again, I'm not 100% sure. But if anything, I understand that there's supposed to be a crisp firmness to it, but it's almost to the extent where it's almost too crispy, at least in conjunction with all of the other ingredients. Now, as far as what the item appears, it might look like one thing, but it tastes totally different, and I could definitely and easily see why a good number of individuals hold this item in higher regard. That's not to say that, oh yeah, this is the most authentic Southwestern cuisine I've ever seen in my entire life, because that wouldn't even be close to the truth. But does it have some unique flavor, at least, especially, well, when you're going over to a Wendy's and you're getting this burger from a fast food place? Absolutely. Absolutely it does. I think that they were looking to give this a little bit of a spicy kick. Especially, I notice also that Chipotle sauce, that is still leaving a little bit of a spicy aftertaste in my mouth, which is good. I think that's what they were hoping for. Same thing, the queso, very potent, very flavorful. So, I think they were looking for these certain characteristics, and I think they achieved exactly what it was that they were looking for. It still has all the hallmarks of what you would expect from a Wendy's hamburger, where it still has, of course, the beef, which is always... I still like, at this point in time that they have a good amount of beef on the cheeseburger, where it's not this tiny, wafer-thin little, barely noticeable sort of patty that then they claim is, it's a quarter pound, whereas it's got like the thickness of this napkin. I like that there's actual substance still to it, and it's juicy, it's flavorful, and obviously you notice it in every single bite. So I'm very happy with the quality of the beef here. That's totally fine. The tomato is fine as well. Not as good of a tomato as that one Burger King wrap, but still a decent tomato, I would say. Fresh, I would notice for sure. The lettuce, one thing about the lettuce, it has a firmness to it, but the thing about it is that it's actually a bit chewy, and that's just slightly unpleasant. It's nice when the lettuce does have that firm, very fresh crisp to it. That's what you would hope for, but when you take that bite and it's like you could floss your teeth with it practically, yeah, that gets noticeable and not in a good way, and I was noticing that as far as the lettuce is concerned. It's a bit unpleasant, and that's not what I was hoping for there, where it's just so chewy. I feel like I could just pull on it and it wouldn't even separate. So the lettuce quality was lacking, which is disappointing. As far as the bun is concerned, probably one of the most recognizable features of this sandwich. I would say the bun is mostly there for aesthetic purposes. Sure, you could barely taste some of that cheddar on the bun if you take a bite and it's in large enough a concentration, but for the most part, you don't really notice all that much. It holds it all together, of course. I did not notice any sort of spice with the bun. That's obviously not to say that it hasn't any spice, it just hasn't any prominent spice, and it mostly is a decorative piece. So again, rounding back over to some of the other qualities of this sandwich, most prominently, you have the queso and the spicy chipotle sauce. They both combine very nicely, give it cheesy quality to it, but also, and again, most significantly, a prominent spicy note that is not overpowering, it's not overbearing. Don't get this thinking this is going to be the spiciest thing you've ever eaten, because it's not. I would describe this more as like a flavorful spice, as opposed to any sort of, spice that you're going to get at like a wing place, for instance, and get just because it's really, really hot. This is just a flavorful spice. I think it accentuates many of the characteristics of this sandwich, in a good way, of course. And it's a long-lasting spice as well, so I noticed that. And all in all, I think that Chipotle sauce definitely helps tie this all together. Very flavorful. You notice it in every single bite, and I think it hits all the right notes in that regard. But that's not to say that this is a sandwich that I'm just going to sit here and sing praises about. It does have its faults. For the most part, everything ties together nicely. And the only issues that I have, again, are largely, they're not significant issues. The quality of the lettuce could be better. That detracted a little bit from it. And the other thing was just those tortilla strips. They weren't all that flavorful, but boy, were they noticeable as I was taking bites of this, and I was noticing texturally just how hard and crunchy they are. And it was actually an unpleasant juxtaposition where I'm eating this. It maybe has a little bit of firmness, but fairly soft. I'm biting, and then crack. And then I just notice this just crunch overwhelmingly. And, at first, as you're eating this, you might even think, did something just happen to my teeth? Because it'll come on so forcefully and so unexpectedly that it's just like out of nowhere. You're just eating this, and then there's this really, really hard, crunchy element to it, and it'll just take you by surprise a little bit. And that's just unpleasant in that regard. I'm not a fan of that. I understand what they're trying to go for. I'm not really going to criticize them too much, but I personally didn't really find that a very pleasant note. And again, just the quality of the lettuce and the bun, mostly for aesthetics, not all that much flavor-wise. But all in all, this is Wendy's we're talking about. This is just fast food, and we can't forget that. I think for what it is, it's something new. They're definitely trying something else, and I would say the execution of this, for the most part, was totally fine. I would say this is a totally acceptable sandwich. Definitely has some positive, pleasant elements to it. And I think it's one of those items that if you're curious, maybe give it a shot, try it out once or so, and then it's like, if you like it, you like it. Maybe get it while the getting's good. If not, you could say, I tried it out, and now I could say I did, and that's all there is to it. So, in the end, there's been better, but there most certainly has been worse. So therefore, I think it's totally acceptable. Therefore, out of 10, I'm going to be giving the Loaded Nacho Cheeseburger from Wendy's, I'm going to give it a 6.7 out of 10. Not necessarily evocative of nachos or anything to that extent, but it definitely does have that sort of southwestern flair that is unmistakable. And in the end, it's still a decent sandwich, totally acceptable for what it is. That's all that I have for you. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm your host, The Report of the Week.